Victory, shelter.
In the search for truth, no one gets out of the darkness alone or on their own endeavor. Therefore, when one has fallen into a dark, blind well, the only chance of rescue is when someone comes from above and lowers a rope, and in this case, the rope of unconditional mercy. Therefore, we begin by offering a prayer unto our spiritual master. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And the translation is, I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hello, Hare Krishna, welcome, namaste, greetings. My name is Jwalamukhi Devi Dasi, also known as Jwala, rhymes with Wala with a J. I was born and raised in the Hare Krishna movement in the 1970s, and I grew up in my early years in that culture. Later on, I went into what is normal or secular society, and my whole life story I don't need to go into here. Essentially, I'm making this video for the sake of the truth. Everybody's interested in the truth, especially nowadays. There are hidden truths coming out all over the place, all over the world about, really the ugly nature of what has been under the surface and what has been running the show. And I believe that it is all in divine arrangement, that the darks are becoming exposed so that we as humanity can move forward in a very positive direction. So this video is for people who are sincere spiritual aspirants, people who are on their path already, regardless of what tradition you follow. It is relevant to you. Please don't be put off by my appearance, thinking that I am a brainwashed cult member. After this video, you may discover that you are also a brainwashed cult member, or many other people may be too. Anyways, that's a little joke just to say that for a materialist, someone who is on the spiritual path looks crazy. And for a person on the spiritual path, those who are engaged in materialistic activities appear crazy. But in either case, if you are someone who is looking for the truth, you will find the topics of this video relevant to yourself. So bear with me here. I will be covering a few different topics. I'm going to list them here. But first of all, let me speak a little bit more about the audience, because I'm making a 3-part series. This particular video is an introduction, and it's mostly for, let me start that again. This video is for persons who have already applied themselves to spiritual life, who are looking how not to get cheated in the process. They can be on any particular path, but it's really how not to get cheated in the name of God. It's also for anyone who has This video is for people who are on the spiritual path. This video is for people who have questions on the topics of the day, which are very difficult questions, but questions pertaining to how not to get cheated in the name of God. So we're going to be covering things like satanic ritual abuse in organized religion, a very unsavory, scary topic, but don't worry, it ends well. We're going to be covering the origins of the false memory syndrome foundation. We're going to be covering what is a conspiracy theorist, what is a conspiracy theory, where did that come from, and how is it used today. We're going to be covering the idea that if you speak truth about someone who is held in a sacred light, that it is an offense and one should not even hear it, because the hearer of the so-called offense will become implicated, and how this, actually very serious warning not to offend spiritual enlightened people has been used to actually squash the truth from coming out. So we're going to be discussing that as well. We will also be talking about what is proof, because the name of my video series is But You Have No Proof. And it's really a response to the people in the organization that have come against what I've said and said, oh, she's crazy, she doesn't have any proof, like that. So I will be going over many, many different points of what actually constitutes proof for what I'm speaking about, my own experiences growing up in the Hare Krishna movement. So, without further ado, I would like to just briefly introduce what is Hare Krishna, what is the Hare Krishna movement, what is ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, what is this red thing on my face, what is this white thing on my face, and why is my hair back, why do I have these things on my neck? So if all of you are completely new to that, I'll try to make a very broad strokes here. So it happens in life that you get frustrated. You get materially frustrated. You've tried everything you can think of to be happy, and it's just not working. You still have too many bills, your relationships didn't work out, your kids are mad at you, or you're a young person and nothing makes sense to you. You can see right through all the cheating and you just want answers. So after many, many lifetimes, a soul, because we're eternal, comes to the point of questioning their existence. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The Lord is a fact. There is a God. And he sends his bona fide representatives time and time again to revive the eternal truth of the soul, the relationship of the soul with God, and the process for reawakening that dormant relationship in the heart. And so that is encompassed in all the different world religions, how to reestablish our lost relationship with God. The Krishna consciousness movement is not a belief system or a religion per se, the way that people think of religion. Means like, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Zoroastrian, I'm a whatever, right? People think of religion as a system of beliefs, and I can practice this and then I can convert and do something else. But that's not what Krishna consciousness denotes. Krishna consciousness literally means Krishna, the all-attractive Supreme Person. Krishna means all-attractive. And consciousness, obviously, consciousness. So Krishna consciousness means to have God's consciousness, to have his perspective on everything. And so when you are questioning, who am I? Why am I here? Why am I suffering when I just want happiness? How do I get out of my suffering condition? You need answers. And because God is sitting within our heart, he's directing our wanderings according to our desires. He brings us to a bona fide representative of God who can answer those questions. So the Krishna consciousness movement was founded by the Supreme Personality of God himself. The stories are there in the Vedic scriptures. Veda means knowledge. They are ancient. They are the oldest existing books in the world, although history has tried to pretend that they're not in some instances. But if you're interested, that is a whole separate topic, very elaborate. I'm not going to go too much into that. However, the Krishna consciousness movement is a bona fide movement started 500 years ago by the Supreme Lord himself, who appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He inaugurated the congregational chanting of the Maha Mantra. Maha Mantra means the great chant for deliverance, that is destined to completely wipe out not only the accumulated sins of the living entities, but to also change the desire to commit further sins. So you can see that when within the heart, there's no longer any desire to do something, to be a certain way that is going to separate us from God. Sin means without. When we actually intrinsically are ourselves, then the whole world lives in a state of cooperation. It doesn't need an artificial mechanism of control. It is naturally who we are. We follow that law of God. And so Krishna consciousness is meant to clean the consciousness, to revive the original consciousness. It is not a bodily designation that is black, white, red, yellow, American, Hindu, Chinese, etc., etc. These are all bodily designations. Those pertain only to where the body was born, the activities of the body. But you, the self, are different than that. So Krishna consciousness is the science of consciousness. It is the science of the soul. So this movement was started 500 years ago by the Lord himself to give the living entities an opportunity to come back home to the eternal realm where we are from. And by the mercy of the Guru Parampara, Guru means the teacher, the heavy with knowledge teacher. Parampara means the unbroken lineage all the way back to God himself, which is extremely vital, important, crucial for understanding truth, because it's just like electricity. If you don't have a clean line, you're not going to get power. So when you receive knowledge in that unbroken chain, your knowledge is perfect, as if God himself were sitting in front of you answering your questions. So that representative of God is to be worshipped the same as God, given the same respect, because the result is the same. Like the Father and the Son. They're different but the same, right? So there's many, many points we can go into. There's a vast body of literature that you can check on the links below and buy and read and enlighten yourself. Be happy to answer any questions. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just trying to do a very broad overview for you to understand. I am not a cult member because I have this on my forehead. Oh, by the way, the bindi just means I'm married. Hi, honey, I love you. 20-something years. And this is called tilak. It is made from the clay from the Ganges River, and it means that wearing it on the forehead, the place we are most proud of, it is a symbol of the foot of God, and we bow our heads at the feet of God. So it is tilak. We anoint the body with tilak so someone can recognize us. Our service as devotees or Vishnu bhaktas is to help society reconnect to who they really are in relationship to the maintainer, the supreme creator, God. So when you have a legal issue, you go to a police officer and you know who a police officer is because they've got their outfit on. Or if you need medical services, you go to a medical practitioner and you know they're a medical practitioner because of their dress. So in the same way, when you meet a devotee of God, you've got spiritual questions, you'll know to recognize them by their outfit. That means the tilak and the neck beads that denote devotion to God. This is our little devotional dog collar. So that's what the appearance means. So, okay, we've gone over that. And this video is really relevant for everyone because in this video, I want to give you truth seekers the truth. We are living in a time of we're living in a war, a propaganda war, where you're going to either live or not live based on who you trust. And that's pretty scary. People are risking their lives trusting different sources of information. I'm putting this out here to invite sincere people to a genuine spiritual shelter. There has been so much cheating going on. People should also have an opportunity to find the absolute truth, because when we speak about truth, I can go into, or we can all discover many, many truths, like what it was behind all these different events in the world, these historical events. What was the actual dig on that? What was the actual truth? But even if you found out all of these truths, like did we really go to the moon? Who was really behind 9/11? What actually happened with Jeffrey Epstein? Like these are subjects that people are curious about. They want to know. But even if you found out the exact truth of what's really happening in the world, will it really help you? Will it really change anything for you? Because you are still going to become sick, grow old, die, and you will take birth again. Unless you are completely free of the things in the heart that keep you bound to this temporary place called the material world. So the absolute truth, that truth that is beyond the sphere of matter, is what is required to make a permanent solution to all the problems that we face in the world today. So this video is very relevant to pretty much everybody, despite the fact that I'm going to be speaking according to the culture that I was raised in, the Hare Krishna movement. The reason I am making this video is because I have been accused of making things up, of having false memories, that my mentor, the person who helped me heal from all this, is somehow putting memories into my head. So there's been innocent people who think that, oh yes, she was good, but then she went off because she met this woman and, things went south from there. I will absolutely address all of those questions. And the other question, let's see, where was that? So this is essentially the introduction to the 3-part series. I thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And in the meantime, I highly recommend, if you are unfamiliar with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, founding teacher of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, I highly recommend that you check out his books, his videos. The link will be below. You can order them. Please do get the original books and not the altered books, which you will find through the organization. Thank you for your attention, and we will see you shortly. Hare Krishna. I forgot to mention really important thing, like what is ISKCON? What is the organization called ISKCON? It stands for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. And I will, maybe the best thing to do here is just to post the 7 purposes of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness below on the link so that you can read through it. But essentially, this organization was founded by the latest spiritual emissary in the unbroken chain of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that line. And he brought it to the Western world for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. So when you need to do something, you need to organize yourself. You need to structure to get the message across. So this spiritual organization, this movement, was meant for the re-spiritualization of the entire planet. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada incorporated this organization in 1966 in New York. And from there, he traveled the world, sleeping only a few hours a night, translating volumes and volumes and volumes of transcendental literature with commentaries by all of the previous acharyas, opened more than 108 temples while circling the globe, corresponding with thousands and thousands of disciples. You won't find anyone in history like His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Please do spend your time doing research on him so that you too can find the shelter that I have found. But right now, my service to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, is to start over. Just like he did. He had to start over. He came in this unbroken chain also. He was a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, his master. And when he came to the West, he wanted his godbrothers and sisters to join him, to help push on the mission of the Lord. But for whatever reason, they didn't, or there was a very small help. So he founded this organization for all of the Western world to take advantage of the teachings of the Supreme Lord and to apply it to our lives, to uplift the entire world, give us a system of knowledge. It's like a body without a head is useless, or a body with a crazy head is dangerous. And that's the condition that we're in right now. So this organization of the Hare Krishna movement, this ISKCON, was founded to create thoughtful, spiritually realized members of society who could help guide the politicians, help guide society for the sanity and happiness of the entire world. Now, of course, if you want to give spiritual knowledge, those who are not spiritual, those who are atheists and who are envious of God and who worship Satan, they will attack. So naturally, what happened? They attacked. The organization was so pure and so powerful that it couldn't be stopped from the outside. That wasn't sanctioned. So in order to stop it, they came from the inside. The atheists, the demons, the Satanists, they infiltrated the movement from the very beginning. They poisoned His Divine Grace, and they attacked the families, the children. My story is of surviving that, and by the grace of my spiritual mentor, coming to the other side of that and holding up the torch of knowledge despite all of that. I used to believe, if only the authorities at the top could know what really happened, that we were attacked from the inside, they could fix it. They could kick out the perpetrators, and we could, save the organization that Srila Prabhupada made, because he did it with such endeavor, huge endeavor, blood, sweat, and tears went into making this organization that so many people have found spiritual shelter in. Actually, just the other day, I was watching something, a celebration that was going on, and I was remembering what it felt like to feel that I was part of a society, a spiritual society, and we were all going back home together and we were helping each other, until I got disillusioned, until I started speaking the truth, until what I was saying went against people's comfort levels, until the perpetrators at the top realized that I could be a threat to them and spoke to their minions who kicked me out. My family, my birthright. I was born and raised in this organization, and I'm banned from coming to the temple. I'm banned, just like Srila Prabhupada's original books are banned from the temple. They will ban God. They will ban his representative from his own building in the name of the great hypocrite. So I'm making these videos to enliven those who know the truth, who are seeking the truth. You too can push on this movement. You too, you know the truth. You too can make a difference in the world. You too can step out of the cheating organization and move forward if you have love, if you have strength. So without further ado, I present to you the video series called But You Have No Proof, aptly named because when I did approach someone, I've already made a video about that, Radhanath Swami, someone I thought of as a spiritual authority, those were his words to me when I spoke to him about the existence of satanic ritual abuse within the organization. Those were his first words to me. But you have no proof. So here's my but you have no proof. Hello, Hare Krishna. My name is Jwalamukhi Devidasi, also known as Jwala. You may have seen me in some of my other videos. I've been posting things on the internet on how to get the real absolute truth and avoid the cheating. So I've had correspondences from all over the world, people asking me questions, thoughtful questions, offering appreciations, criticisms, of course. And this particular video is to address the doubts that come up around the nature of things that I have spoken about satanic ritual abuse, or the way people say it is your claims about satanic ritual abuse. This is a topic I have thought about, well, unfortunately, way too much because I live it. And I thought, well, it's hard enough when it's coming out of your own pores and your own body to accept, because it's just so evil and disgusting and, wrong on so many levels. And yet we see evidence of it all over the world, in popular culture, certainly, and in the political field, of course, in the history books. So I thought, why not put together a compilation of my thoughts over these many years to help people understand what they're dealing with and how to get the real truth, how to approach a spiritual authority without getting cheated in the name of. So if you'll bear with me, I have my notes over there. So I'm going to keep looking back and forth, and I've compiled an essay called But You Have No Proof. And I will make it available for any of you who want to read. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be speaking and looking back and forth and trying to give you the best of what I can. All right. Thank you. So when people ask me, there's a question, do you have proof of what you say? And of course I can say yes, but I've often thought of the question that people would ask Srila Prabhupada, can you prove that there's a God? And he could have said so many things. Of course he can prove there's a God. At the same time, usually the answer that he gave was, do you have eyes to see God? First, you must qualify yourself. And that also holds true in this subject matter. Like, I can tell you so many proofs in a logical way, in a historical way, in an eyewitness kind of way, in a deductive way. But until and unless you are ready to know the truth, unless you have a desire to know the truth, unless you're okay with being uncomfortable for the sake of the truth, then no matter what I say, no matter what I present, I won't be able to prove it because that self-protection called denial will come up, and that's what happens with truth. You just accept it or you don't. So for people who are sane, for people who feel safe enough to live in a world where this goes on, because it always has gone on, and who are wanting to know the truth and how to navigate around getting the truth without getting cheated, I will present here some of the questions. So first of all, the short answer to the question is there any proof that SRA exists? Well, first of all, of course, obviously. Satanic ritual abuse means the worship of Satan or Lucifer, right? And if anybody thinks that people don't worship Satan or Lucifer, I don't really know what I can do for them. But yes, people do worship Satan or Lucifer, or they have different names for the shadow god, the person that they think is in competition with God. And in order for them to worship him, they do things that are completely opposite of the worship of the Supreme Lord. So instead of doing acts that bring you upward, they do acts that bring you downward, and they somehow think that that is going to bring them what they want. There has been a very ritualized way of worshiping Satan, of worshiping Lucifer, and typically it involves super unsavory subjects, all criminal activities. The purpose of it is to get power. Like you split an atom to get atomic power. So the way that a power-hungry soul gets power when they don't have any, and they don't want to approach God for it, they approach the other one, whoever they think the other one is, to get some power because they don't want to be subservient to God. So they're going to try to get it the devious way. But in order to get power, because they don't have enough, they're going to take it from somebody else. And that means that they're going to exploit the powerful. And because they want to spite God, they're going to attack the most innocent, the most helpless. And typically that involves child sacrifice, child rape, torture, incantations, summoning witches, demons, you name it. And it doesn't really even matter if you don't believe in witches or demons. They do. And they do this stuff. And that's all there is to it. So historically, there has been satanic worship all over the world and all the different cultures. They call different names and they do this stuff. I don't think we have to go too much into proving that that exists. It does exist. And all you have to do is turn on Netflix or Disney or any of the other media moguls, and you will find elements of symbolism all throughout, belying who really runs the show. So the Satanists are on a mission to remake the world in the image of the original rebel, or Lucifer is how they consider it. Of course, they don't know that their boss works for our boss, that Lucifer, Satan, the personality of Kali, or the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. They don't know that he is simply an agent of the Supreme Lord who is engaged in an unthankful task to degrade the envious souls, the rebellious souls, quicker, so that they get their lessons quicker, so that they can come to their original consciousness. Hell isn't forever, although it seems like it. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. So we have established that A, satanic ritual abuse is a real thing. It does happen. Does SRA happen in organized religion, especially ISKCON? That's another question. So does satanic worship exist in other religions? Hell yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Have a look at the tenets of the other major world religions, and you will find the descriptions of Satan in place of God. In other words, the qualities of God are inverted. So wrathful, spiteful, scary, guilt, shame. These darker qualities are interwoven. They're attributed to the Supreme Being, but those are absent in the nature of the Supreme Lord, as Krishna himself describes his nature, as the saintly persons have described his nature. You see the one of the main world religions, Christianity, has been almost completely taken over by the Satanists covertly. And so their worship is actually a form of satanic ritual. And some people might get their, well, get bent out of shape for me saying this, but let's just look at this objectively for a moment. If you love somebody, you don't want to see them suffer. If you love somebody so much that you want to give their life, your life to them, seeing them in pain is not something you want. And yet the envious souls, the Satanists, have infiltrated the worship of Lord Jesus from the very, very beginning and have created a form of worship that actually steps on his head, that reinforces the idea of his suffering, that reinforces shame, guilt, fear, all of the things that keep the dark qualities in place. It reinforces that you're not able to ever get out of it without, somebody else giving you pardon, or that you can never be clean enough, good enough. You can never actually follow the example of Christ and be purified. You're just always going to be a sinner, and he died for you, and somehow or other that's your fault. So in other words, their crucifying of Christ is your fault. And all of those sins are going to sit on your shoulders. I mean, this is so typical. I can't even. So when I was growing up in ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we were attacked from the very beginning from the inside by the envious who knew the power of this movement. This movement was and is designed by God, by his emissary, Srila Prabhupada, to completely restructure the foundation of material society that is based on lies. So when you have the absolute truth challenging the lies that this material civilization is based on, naturally you're going to have a backlash from the envious who feel threatened. They can't perceive that the mercy is there for them too. They can't perceive all the good things on the other side, and they're just envious by nature, like snakes that can't help themselves. They're going to just bite and sting. And so they attacked from the very beginning and wanted to pervert our hearts, change our faith, make us hate ourselves. And so in my experience of recalling horrible satanic rituals, a very, very important part of the ritual was for them to do something in such a way that you believed that you had come up with the idea to torture and kill your friend or the baby they had brought in for sacrifice, or any other innocent person that you were made to harm under great duress and mind control. And it was very, very important that you thought it was your fault, because then you would hold on to it, and then all of the demons that they had summoned would attach to this guilt, this shame, this fear, and keep cycling, and therefore you would become controllable. So satanic ritual has been, it's literally part of Catholicism. Their communion, if you think about it, is a satanic ritual. You're having a cannibalistic exchange. I'm going to eat the body, the flesh of my spiritual master, Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm going to drink his blood, right? And somehow this is holy and brings me closer to him. Yeah, in cannibal world, yeah, in satanic ritual, it has nothing to do with what Jesus taught, has nothing to do with purifying one's existence, has everything to do with perversion, speculation, concoction. But because it has been passed down for so long, and because the Lord is merciful, sincere people do this, and they have divine experiences, not because of the ritual that they're doing, the perverted ritual they're doing, but because of their genuine connection to God. But the fact remains that they have been engaged in a long-standing perverse ritual of Satan worship in the name of God. And the same is there for the Muslim religion. I'm not as familiar with the Muslim religion, but certainly would Muhammad agree to what's going on in his name? Women being treated so poorly, so horribly abused, all of this anger, all of this stuff. The spiritual battle begins in the heart. And if you've conquered the demons in your heart, okay, then you can maybe go out and be holier holy and mighty. But it's not all of this, weirdness, super weirdness written in the Quran itself. And then when you look at what's there and you point it out to people, hey, you look what's in here. They get mad at you, but it's in the book that they're worshiping. So anyways, long story short, evildoers, the Satan worshiper people love organized religion. Oh my gosh, they love organized religion. It is their just like creme de creme favorite place to hide. They can wear robes. They can do, chants. They can suck the life out of their congregation with a smile on their face because they have no conscience. And they get more power in that way. So super beware of pretenders in the guise of religionists. His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami's spiritual master, he wrote an incredibly amazing essay called Organized Religion. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in my opinion, is arguably one of the most intelligent people who ever lived. If you want to take time to read his essay, the link will be below this video, and please spend time with it because it very, 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 very accurately describes my literal experience growing up in an infiltrated ISKCON, where we had the highest of the high. We had the potential for the greatest truth. And of course, wherever the potential for the greatest truth is, you're also going to naturally and necessarily have the existence of the greatest evil. Why? It's just how it is. Wherever there's Krishna, there's a Kamsa. Wherever there's the sun, the night is coming. It's just the nature of the way things are. But anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to go over here and look at my notes again. The accusation by SRA perpetrators and deniers is that SRA is false and that I don't have any proof of it. So I will prove this on many levels. So you're going to have to read my essay. I'm kind of just skimming it and going through here. But I really took it apart in this essay. So what is my objective with this topic? What am I trying to do here? Am I just trying to, ruin sincere devotees' nice service by saying these things, these scary things? No, I'm not. I am trying to, it says that the highest welfare work, this is one of the quotes from Bhagavatam, the highest welfare work for humanity is to discern truth from illusion. And if you're actually a devotee, you actually want Krishna, you actually want to serve Srila Prabhupada, you actually want to save the world, then don't tell me I'm messing things up. I am doing my best to help you all not get cheated. And if you can't see that, I guess you're going to be on the ship to who knows where, out of sentimentalism, out of fanaticism, because Krishna consciousness is a science. It is a science. It is provable. It is tangible. It is tasteable. And if you follow it, Krishna in your heart will speak to you. I have paid this price many times over, and I want you to pay it too. If you think that I'm telling a lie, then go in front of the deity. You believe Krishna is standing on the altar. You accept that's the purpose, right? To have a conversation with Krishna. Go ask him, am I telling the truth or am I lying? What is my character? Who am I? What am I trying to do here? And if you can't hear, why not? We should surrender everything but not our intelligence. We need to use our intelligence to keep sharp. Srila Prabhupada's own statements are there. One of them is that it is a fact that the great Sinister movement is within us. So if you accept Srila Prabhupada as the ultimate authority, and he says it is a fact, proof, his own words, his own statements, that the great Sinister movement is within us, what does that mean? What is the great Sinister movement? And it is within us. Obviously, it means within ISKCON and the great Sinister movement. Sinister is a pretty bad and scary word. It's a movement, means it's organized, right? So what does it mean? Well, it's not rocket science for me. All of the trauma that I experienced wasn't accidental perpetrators. It wasn't just pedophiles who were sexually frustrated. No, it was an organized attack on the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to destroy from the very foundation the purity, the faith, the backbone of this revolutionary movement that is destined to turn around the demonic face of this world, and which will still do so. So my purpose in making this video is to enliven those who have felt disgusted, disillusioned, upset. Here you are, you found one of Srila Prabhupada's books. How rare is that? You open it and your heart goes, yes, I've been looking for this my whole life. And then you make your way to a temple and you run into a big fat hypocrite. Your faith gets tromped on. You get messed up, or you were born in this movement and you got messed up big time. So where do you go? Alcohol, binge relationships, numbing out, suicide. Where do you go? Where are you going to find some shelter? Because at the end of the day, you're still an eternal spirit soul. You're going to go find some shelter in some vague idea of God, the light, the oneness, go be saved. But if you ask any questions, there's no real answers. Just believe or else. Krishna consciousness is a science. And because I was very, very fortunate to be given the opportunity to associate with a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, I met him when I was 1 month old. He prayed for me. I know he did. And then I have been given the association of my mentor, Kamar Prabhu, who walked this walk already. The principle of taking shelter of somebody who's already seen the truth gives you the ability to see the truth. A friend of mine said, I don't believe that so-and-so did that to you. And I just said to myself, well, actually, I texted her back and I said, I'm really glad that you have that prerogative. I don't. It's coming out of my pores. It's coming out of my dry heaving, my screams. I have to bolt out the door so I don't freak my family out when I have an absolute meltdown. And I'm not proud about it. That's just what it's been. Because I went in front of the altar. I went and said a purify me prayer. And Krishna took me seriously. He's like, oh, you want to be purified? You want to do something for Srila Prabhupada's movement? Well, here, you may have to clean all of this huge mess up. And don't worry, I'll help you. And so that's been the last 10 years of my life. So here I am, 10 years later going, yeah, there were Satanists. There still are Satanists, people who actively eat babies, drink blood, take adrenochrome, are in cahoots with other big demons in the material world. All right, let's go there. The vaccine, come on, guys. You've got aborted babies in there. You've got cows, monkey stuff. You've got electronic, intelligent stuff that can be activated through radio waves or whatever it is. And you're going to stick that in your body out of fear. And then you have so-called spiritual leaders saying, oh, yes, this was right for me. You're going to buy that? Are you kidding me? Why are they pushing this? Because they're connected to the great Sinister movement around the world. And they need their sheep, their followers, to be part of it. Yeah, there's a lot more I have to say. These videos are going to get too long, so I'm going to have to do a 3-part series. And I probably strayed really far from my notes here. I think we're on page 2. I've got 24 pages here. But this is going to turn out really well because, as painful as the truth is, it's better to know the truth so that you can actually get freedom from fear. Do what you came to this movement to do. Spread Krishna consciousness. And when you meet somebody and you say, here, take this wonderful literature, it'll save your life. It'll save your soul. You'll feel so much wholesomeness. You're going to know that you can stand on your own 2 spiritual feet and be in a sangha, in association with other like-minded devotees, and not turn them over to the satanic cabal that just happen to be wearing tilak and neck beads, right? That's another quote by Srila Prabhupada, who said, there are those in our movement who dress like devotees, look like devotees, have sika, tilak, neck beads, sari dhoti. They look like devotees, but they are not. They are agents of Kali. They must be found out and kicked out. That's a direct quote. That was Nanda Kumar. Srila Prabhupada said that. So if you want to know if satanic ritual abuse happened within the society called ISKCON, those 2 statements alone, they're by Srila Prabhupada himself. And then, of course, there's a whole other poisoning of his divine grace, which is a huge topic unto itself, which you can look at his own statements in that regard. I will continue later. I'm going to be posting this article so you can read it. I welcome your feedback. Again, the purpose of this video is simply to try to enliven your hearts and empower you. At this time in history, we need spiritual warriors who have their heads on straight. We don't need to be following people who are leading us to the slaughterhouse. And especially disgusting are those who have tilak, dhotis, and leading us to the slaughterhouse in the name of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. For those people, I cannot wait for their exposure and demise. And all of you people who have taken shelter of them, let it be known now. Your spiritual advancement is between you and Krishna, and how deep your bhakti roots have gotten you over the years by your own determination, your own practice, and Krishna's mercy. Don't be fooled when you see the persons that you have looked up to, you have idolized, you have worshipped, start falling down. There is shelter for you. The process is real. Krishna is real. And I want you to be strong enough when it comes, because it will come. You can fool some people for some time, but not all the people all the time. Thank you so much for your attention. Hare Krishna. We'll see you in the next video. Namaste. Hare Krishna.